warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So God we give thanks and to the Prophet we pray. Hello, my name is Nirwana from English Education Study Program, especially Class B 2019 at the University of Sulawesi Barat. Today I will explain why I got from the course, especially English Specific Purpose by Mr. Adisma SPD MPD. So the first material is the origin of ESP, second, the development of ESP, third, language description, fourth, theories of learning, fifth, needs analysis, and the last one is approaches to course design. Today I will explain, the first one is the origin of ESP. As with most developments in human activity, ESP was not a planned and coherent movement, but a rather phenomenon that grew out of a number of convergent trends. The trends have operated in a variety of ways around the world, but we can identify three main reasons common the emergence of all ESP. 1. Demands of a brave new world. This happened because of the activity of exchanging goods and services after the world war. English is the key to circulation of technology. International trade. Knowledge of English is generally considered a prerequisite for good education. 2. Evaluation linguistics. Traditionally, the aim of linguistics is to describe the rules of using English, namely grammar. The language in which we speak and write will vary and in a number of different ways, from one context to another. 3. Focus on the reader. Students have different needs and interests, which will have an important influence on their motivation to learn a language and its effectiveness to they will learn faster and better. Okay, the next material is the development of ESP. There are 5 parts in the development of ESP as follows. 1. Register analysis is an analysis of the grammatical and lexical features of a language used for certain purpose or in certain social settings. This concept is derived from the ESP principle that the English of certain kinds differ from each other in terms of the grammatical and lexical features of the register. 2. Rhetoric discourse analysis. At this stage, the second stage of development shifts attention to level above the sentence. As ESP becomes closely involved with the emerging field of discourse or rhetorical analysis, it focuses on understanding how sentences are combined in the discourse to produce meaning. 3. Analysis of the target situations. In the ESP course, there will be a process of knowing the student's goal in learning English, know need analysis or target situation analysis. The target situation analysis will direct the teacher to form a syllabus. For skill and strategies, the focus should be more on underlying interpretive learners to cope with surface shapes. For example, question the meaning of the word from context using visual layouts to determine text type, utilizing coordinates, word that were similar in mother tongue and target language. A focus on a specific subject register is not required in this approach because the underlying process is not subject-specific to any subject register. 5. Learning center approach. ESP is the coordinate with language learning rather than language use. The importance and implications of the distinctions we have made between language use and language learning will hopefully become clear as we proceed through the following chapters. The next material is language description. It is important to understand the main features of each of these descriptions in order to consider how they can be used most appropriately in an ESP course. We can identify 6 main stages of development. 1. Classical or traditional grammar. Descriptions of English and other language are based on the grammar of the classical language. Greek and Latin. This description is based on an analysis of the role played by each word in the sentence. Language is described in this way because classical language is a case-based language in which the grammatical functions of each word in a sentence is made clear by the use of appropriate inflection. Through structural linguistics, the structural form or slot and fillers of language description will be familiar to most language teachers as a result of the great influence it has had on teaching since the Second World War. In structural description, the grammar of a language is described in a syntagmatic structure that carries fundamental propositions and ideas. 3. Transformational generative grammar. For ESP, the most important lesson to be drawn from Chomsky's work is the distinction he makes between permanence and competence. Chomsky's own definition of permanence and competence is based narrowly paying attention only to syntax. 4. Language variation and register analysis. Language varies based on the context in which it is used. Sometimes it can be formal or informal and written or spoken. 5. Functional national grammar. Functional is concordant with social behavior or represent the speaker, writer intent such as advising, warming, turning, describing, etc. Whereas national is concordant with reflecting on the way the human mind things such as time, number, gender, location. And the last, number 6, discourse analysis, rhetoric. This stage is related to how the meaning between sentences is generated. What matter is the context of the language. Next is theories of learning. The language we learn must have theories, and in this case we must describe theories in language development according to the needs of the learning. Having been established by psychology as an esteemed subject of scientific research in the early 20th century, we can identify 6 main stages of language development. The first one is behaviorism learning as habit formation. This theory had a major impact in the psychology of language learning and teaching. Number 2, mentalism. Thinking as an activity governed by rules in language learning. Thinking as a rule-regulated activity is also a step in learning where learning consists not only of forming habits but also of acquiring rules by which the process by which one's experience are used by the mind to formulate hypotheses. Number 3, cognitive code. Students as thinking beings. In cognitive theory, the basic teaching technique commonly used is problem-solving task. 4. Affective factor. Students as emotional beings. Learning, especially language learning, is an emotional experience, and the feelings generated by the learning process will greatly determine the success or failure of learning. 5. Learning and acquisition. Conscious process. While acquisition takes place unconsciously, in this section we pay less attention to the distinction using by the two being interchangeable. 6. Based on the areas we have discussed, we will now present a model of the learning process which will provide a practical reference research for ESP teachers and course designers. The next material is need analysis. Before doing the analysis, we must know advance the difference between the target needs, what student needs in the target situation, and learning needs, what student needs in learning. 1. What are target needs? Targeted needs is general term which in practice hides a number of important differences. The target of this need is more concurrent with the term of the target situation of necessities. 2. Target situation. This target situation analysis is need for material from asking questions about the target situation and attitudes toward the situation of all participants in the learning process. 3. Learning needs analysis. Analyzing what people do will tell us a little bit what they learned for this reason. ESP does not only focus on what to know or do, but focus on what to learn in language learning. For analyzing learning needs to analyze the learning needs of students, we can make framework first. The last material is a process to course designs. It's a process in which raw data about learning needs are interpreted to produce an integrated set of teaching and learning experience. There can be as many different approaches to ESP course design as there are course designers. However, we can identify three main types of course design: language-centered course design, skill-centered course design, and learning-centered approach. 1. Language-centered course design. This is the simplest type of course design and perhaps the most familiar to English teachers. This is very common in ESP. The language-centered course design process aims to draw a direct link between the analysis of the target situation and the content of the ESP course. 2. Skill-centered course design. A skill-centered approach to ESP has been widely applied in a number of countries, particularly in Latin America. Students at the university and college there have limited needs, but it is important to read the course text in English as it is not available in other language. 3. Learning-centered approach. The learning is one of the factors that needs to be considered in the learning process, but not the only one. Alright, that was a little presentation of my material from the English specific purpose course. I realize that there are still many shortcomings. For that, more and less, please fill it up. I ended by saying wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.